tomorrow, and to engage your child in a conversation that way.
So you can see how multifaceted a piece of apparatus is. I think we talked about the math one enough now. But should we do the, you want to try the grammar? I think the grammar.
I like the grammar.
Yeah, okay, go do the grammar.
We do a lot of grammar in my classroom. Sorry that my back is too raised. So when you introduce parts of speech, I know when I was younger, I was kind of confused about what a noun is, and you're always confusing what's a verb and what makes it that way, and it doesn't make as much sense. In Montessori, you use symbols. So in the very beginning, you introduce the concept of a noun, and you would say, this is a symbol for a noun. And because it has a visual representation, the children remember it. Like they can't, in the beginning, at first sometimes, they can't remember the name of the noun, but they're like, oh, it's that one. A cat is that one. And they're able to make that association with the shape because it has that visual there. But we talked about a noun, how it is this big, strong, black pyramid, and how it's the foundation of your sentence, that your sentence needs to have a noun in it. You have to have something that you're talking about. And we play a lot of games with what's a person, a place, or a thing. And all of the grammar symbol, all of the different parts of speech have a symbol that you can associate with it. We're just practicing conjunction. So conjunction is a pink bar, and we call it our pink ribbon. And a conjunction is a word in a sentence that is connecting two parts. So you like pizza and hamburgers at the picnic. So and is your conjunction. It's connecting that you like pizza at the picnic and you like hamburgers at the picnic. Just like if you were to tie those things together, or you're connecting them. And that visual is really helpful to children. You hear them as they're trying to figure out the parts of speech. Oh, it's like you're tying it together. What is that one? And then they go and they find the chart to try and help them. So we have grammar boxes where there's a tray, and along with it is the box. There are sentences written out and little cards with the parts of speech on it. Some children, you can present it so that you put the card here, and they're looking at, this says pour water in a cup. So they can identify what's pour, okay? Pour is an action, so it's a verb, and then they can look for the red card. That's a verb that says pour, and put it in there. My kids really like to symbolize sentences, so we'll write out the sentence. These sentences this morning were from a grammar box that says, go from your seat to the wall. They decided to use the box that went along with this as a tool. They weren't initially, they've already done this. They're ready for the next level. So they wanted to just use this as a tool if they needed it. They also had a dictionary, so they were going back and forth. They couldn't decide which tool was the best going to help them today. And they wrote out the sentence and then first would symbolize the ones they knew. Verbs, articles, and nouns are the easiest for them because it's pretty consistent, that they're looking for action words, helping verbs. Articles are always a, the, or and, so they just have that memorized. Those are just kind of easier ones. And then they get to the tricky ones. And then that's where they would start to analyze the sentence or use a tool to help them. It says go from your seat to the wall. Your is always a tricky one because it's like it's you, so it could be a pronoun or it could be an adjective. And you hear the kids having the conversation with each other, analyzing what makes it. Why could it be a pronoun? Why could it be an adjective? And trying to differentiate those different meanings. And then sometimes the kids and I don't agree, or I don't know. I'm not the best at grammar. So we go and we get a dictionary and we'll check and then have a conversation and say, okay, the dictionary says this and this is the example they give. Why is that? And I feel like they have a much more concrete understanding and an in-depth understanding of grammar because they're able to engage in that conversation. It's different than if they're just like, they memorize something versus you're able to critically analyze something. And I feel like in my classroom I want to help your children learn to be analytical thinkers, not just memorize things. So I like this material a lot.
And one of the wonderful things, as they identify the parts of speech, they can use that with their other reading, and then they can use it to identify characteristics of authors, because some authors use a lot of action words. And you'll see when you look at what they've written, you'll see lots of red and orange. And then there are other people that are very descriptive. And they use lots and lots of adjectives, and then you'll see there's all the dark blue. And so you can begin to even analyze the style of an author utilizing those symbols.
Students definitely make reference to that too in their own writing. Especially at the younger level, as you're thinking about adjectives, our big thing in our classroom right now is to stop using just happy and sad and trying to evolve or expand our vocabulary. And really, we're spending a lot of time talking about adjectives. If I'm reading a book, what are all the adjectives we can find? How are they describing these people? And then incorporating that into their own writing. So if we're writing a short story trying to highlight that we're using adjectives to talk about something, and then they'll choose a noun that they want to focus on.
So anyway, we could talk about all of our Montessori stuff for hours, I think. But what we're here to specifically answer your questions, and we have a list of questions. Okay.
Well, do you guys have any questions now?
Yeah, we could answer your specific questions, and then if there are any questions here that weren't addressed, well, we can address them as well, because you're here, so we should answer your questions.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, no problem. We promised we would get done at 7. Yes?
I kind of keep coming back to what the role of the parent is when you're, because I want to be part of their education too, and I don't have certain materials at home. What I was doing is going to the learning palace and getting workbooks again. And I want to do things that are more in the tradition that they're learning, so what do you recommend?
I think the biggest thing that I've encouraged parents in my classroom to do is help with a conversation about developing independence and responsibility. So sometimes I'll touch base with parents and say, we're trying to choose a research project. Let's have a conversation and see, can you talk to him at dinner tonight and see what is he interested in? What could he explore? And I think just if you're having the same conversation at home about responsibility and independence that we're having at school, it seems like they take their work and their choices and they really think about things at a different level because they realize that it's part of this whole community that we're talking about. Their reading is always the big thing that I just push as much as possible, especially, I think at any age level, but especially with the younger kids, that reading and having them do independent reading, you guys reading together, having conversations about stories, because I think that when children advance in their reading level, then they're able to access so much content, no matter what, whether it's literature, whether it's nonfiction. And I can notice children who have a hard time like decoding, reading individual words, yet I know at home their parents have so much conversation about books because the children have a really good understanding of story structure. So that really helps bring them along as readers. Things like telling time that help happen naturally in your house. Elapsed time is really hard for kids. So it's, 3:30 right now. You can go outside and play for half an hour. What time do I need you to come back inside? That's kind of a natural way when you can teach them that concept that that's a standard, they're supposed to learn elapsed time, but it seems kind of fake to be doing it on a piece of paper. It makes more sense to do it in real life. Money work, counting and doing things with money, helping you with grocery shopping. You can estimate and get a sense of how much should this cost, how much do you think this whole thing, my whole little basket's going to cost. Those just natural applications of math.
The only other thing I would add is to really follow your child's interest.
Mm-hmm.
So, and to show them how to find out more. If they say, look at this. what do you think this is? They say, well, okay, it's got 6 legs. That means it's an insect. Let's go and see if we can find it, in a book. Can we find it on the internet? Who's an expert that might know more about this? And that's the other thing. Kids really are turned on by people that are turned on. And so if they are interested in something, go to the museum and find the expert. I mean, Coleman, I hate to use my grandson, but I mean, he had found out about a dinosaur and he really wanted to see that dinosaur, and he asked somebody.
Cacodontosaurus
What?
or something, I don't know.
Anyway, but he went and he was at the museum and he asked the man who took the tickets if they had one of these, and he said, "Oh yeah, sure they do." And Coleman went and looked all around the whole place, and no, they didn't. And finally he got to an expert who he could talk with